Most people think they know what sets daily life apart in other countries, but the differences only become clear when experienced firsthand. Did you know that in France, lunch hours fill local parks and public squares with neighbors talking face-to-face, while in many American cities those same hours pass with downtown streets nearly empty? Imagine a Thursday in Paris. People sit at sidewalk cafes and focus on conversation, while just a few miles away in the US, offices buzz as employees eat hurried meals in front of computers. This comparison can challenge what you expect from everyday life. In this video, you'll discover 10 real differences between France and the United States that can redefine how Americans view work, health, food, community, and more. Years of public forums, first-hand testimonials, and independent research have shaped these comparisons, going well beyond travel cliches to share concrete facts and scenes you could see any day. But before we continue, make sure to subscribe. Number 10. Work-life balance. French employment laws guarantee at least 5 weeks of paid vacation per year and limit the work week to 35 hours for most contracts. Overtime is tightly regulated. At noon, offices in Paris often empty for lunch. Bistros fill with workers taking an hour or more to share a meal away from their desks. By contrast, Americans tend to check work emails even during personal time, and full lunch breaks have become a rarity. In the US, paid vacation is often limited to 2 or 3 weeks a year, even after many years with an employer. In France, most professional emails and calls stop after business hours, protected by laws like the right to disconnect. Americans frequently report that the slower pace at first feels inefficient, but over time, reduces burnout and increases focus. This difference in work culture shapes not just schedules, but how people value their own time. Number 9. Safety experience. Everyday safety in France looks and feels distinct. Most major French cities report lower violent crime rates compared to US cities of similar size. In 2022, France had 0.04 gun deaths per 1,000 people, while the US had 1.2 per 1,000. It's common in French towns to see children playing in courtyards or walking to local bakeries as late as dusk, and parents regularly allow young teenagers to take public transportation alone. Pickpocketing does occur in busy areas, especially near tourist attractions like the Louvre, but actual incidents of violent crime remain less frequent. American visitors often comment on the absence of car alarms, active shooter drills, or neighborhood watch signs. The feeling can be disorienting at first. Daily life is shaped more by ease and presence than by constant vigilance. Cafes and open markets create a shared sense of space and safety that's visible to anyone who spends time in a community, contrasts that challenge expectations built back home. Number 8. Healthcare costs. Visiting a doctor in France typically costs $25 or about $27. The consultation averages about 15 minutes, and most routine care is covered by a national health insurance system that pays for roughly 78% of all medical services. Supplemental private insurance is available for as little as $30 a month. A standard antibiotic prescription costs around $8, and many generic drugs are even less expensive. A hospital stay, including surgery and recovery, is largely funded by the state. Emergency room care is widely accessible without fear of surprise bills or denied services. In the US, a similar doctor visit can cost from $100 to $300, and even insured patients may pay high deductibles or co-insurance. Americans experiencing the French system often feel initial skepticism at low costs, but relief follows. With barriers removed, people seek care sooner and avoid the debt or rationing common at home. The outcome: better compliance with treatment and more trust in the system. Number 7. Food standards. French food laws mandate high ingredient quality and limit additives. A baguette, for example, must legally contain only flour, water, yeast, and salt. In the US, commercial breads routinely include preservatives and sweeteners. Most French neighborhoods hold regular open-air markets, over 44,000 each week, stocked with produce, cheese, and meats from local farms. Traditional grocers still devote large sections to fresh items and rarely feature the processed snack aisles familiar in American supermarkets. At lunchtime, even the least expensive sandwich uses fresh ingredients. As a result, everyday meals often include less sugar, salt, and artificial flavor. Americans notice the change quickly. Familiar snacks can taste overly sweet or bland after time in France. The typical scene: families or friends spending 2 hours over dinner with several courses and conversation, emphasizes food as pleasure and ritual, not just fuel. The contrast can prompt a reevaluation of the habits formed on both sides of the Atlantic. Number 6. Public transport. French cities and even small towns focus on accessible, Reliable public transit. Paris alone runs 16 metro lines with over 300 stations. A monthly pass costs about 84 bal, or around 90. Smaller cities like Strasbourg and Toulouse build modern tram networks that reach into residential neighborhoods. National trains run frequently between regions. Traveling from Paris to Lyon, a 290-mile trip, takes about 2 hours and costs around $50. Most towns connect with local bus or train service every day. Americans accustomed to driving for every errand face a significant adjustment. Transportation without the hassle of car payments, insurance, or parking. Public transit is clean and used by everyone, students, workers, older adults, creating a natural cross-section of society on every trip. Over time, walking and cycling become normal, and Americans often find themselves spending less, moving more, and discovering opportunities to interact in everyday settings. The result is a major shift from the independence of car ownership to the connectedness of shared mobility. Number 5. Language diversity. In France, multilingual ability is common. By law, English is taught from early elementary grades, and about 40% of secondary school students study 2 or more additional languages. Public transit signs, government forms, and even advertising frequently appear in several languages. Tourists and newcomers benefit, but so do locals who travel or work with international partners. In contrast, most American schools offer one language in high school, if at all, and daily life rarely requires language switching. In shops or markets, it's not unusual in France to encounter staff who can greet or answer questions in English, Spanish, or German. This openness to languages reflects both Europe's geographic proximity and a national priority established decades ago. For Americans, encountering effortless code switching can be humbling, underscoring the cultural value placed in cross-border communication and adaptability. The experience often prompts a reassessment of language education standards and the sense of what it means to connect with one's neighbors. Number 4. Education costs. Higher education in France rarely causes lasting debt. Tuition at public universities averages $170 a year for undergraduates and $380 for most master's programs. International students generally pay less than $4,000 a year, compared with annual tuition averaging $1,000 to $4,000 at many U.S. institutions. The school system emphasizes common curricula in arts, languages, and sciences, with about a third of high school students entering specialized vocational or technical tracks. Homework is present, but standardized testing becomes most significant only in the last secondary years. American families used to planning for years of student loans are often surprised by the lack of financial barriers. Choices about university, career path, or skilled trades reflect individual ability rather than upfront cost. This difference shapes not only wallets, but the rhythm of opportunity and personal development, particularly for those recalling when state colleges in the U.S. cost a fraction of current rates. Number 3. Life pace. French cities and towns operate on a different schedule. Most businesses close for an hour or two at midday and remain shuttered on Sundays except for bakeries and florists. Local calendars feature regular public holidays, Bastille Day, Armistice Day, and markets that pause the usual flow of traffic and trade. Restaurants in Lyon or Bordeaux fill with families for long midweek lunches, often sharing news and courses well into the afternoon. In the U.S., Sundays are among the busiest days for retail, and back-to-back appointments or errands dominate many weeks. The slower French rhythm leads to deeper friendships and memorable meals. Conversations are unrushed, and silences are accepted without discomfort. Evenings are often spent outside, walking riverside paths or sitting at a cafe, rather than watching television. Americans accustomed to a constant push for efficiency can at first find this frustrating, especially when bureaucracy or delayed service interrupts plans. Over time, what first felt like inconvenience can become a valued structure that protects time for others and for rest. Yet, the trade-off remains. Slower pace means errands can be less predictable, and government forms may take longer to process. Number 2. Community presence. Community life in France is highly visible. Neighbors greet each other by name, and shopkeepers remember preferences or orders. Villages and city districts organize frequent open-air markets and festivals, while public parks include ample seating so people can talk, not just pass through. Older men often play pétanque in squares, teens gather at riverbanks, and social interaction steers daily patterns. For Americans used to single-family homes, private yards, and car-based life, this level of community can come as a surprise. Shared rituals and public routines create stronger bonds, but they also set clearer boundaries for newcomers. Integration can take time, and guests may feel like outsiders until trust builds. This contradiction, open public life but slow private acceptance, requires patience but also redefines what it means to belong. The transition is rarely instant, but over time, clear markers of togetherness and healthy boundaries become easier to see. Number 1. Perspective shifts. After extended time in France, Americans start to weigh values differently. The U.S. is often admired for its optimism and belief in rapid change, seen in stories of businesses started in garages or spontaneous acts of connection. In France, tradition and caution slow both innovation and bureaucracy. At the same time, many Americans come to appreciate smaller meal portions, quieter neighborhoods, and reliable services such as universal healthcare. Tipping is rarely expected in French cafes, since service charges are included by law, removing both guesswork and anxiety for customers, and stabilizing wages for staff. Returning home to U.S. stores, bright lights, excess choice, non-stop sales, feels overwhelming for some. This dual reaction is at the core of the mindset shift. Gratitude for what is familiar gains a new dimension, but so does a longing for slower routines and institutional security. The most enduring change is an internal one, revealing both strengths and limits on each side. Drop your thoughts in the comments and don't forget to like and subscribe for more content like this.